Y'all to check out a fellow Marines podcast.
My name is Ted Nugent, and I got a call from my buddy Ryan F. Samuels, and he wants me to tell you that he's a working hard, playing all-American son of a who is celebrating God, family, country.
Welcome to the Ryan Samuels Show, one of the top political podcasts in the United States, where we have a healthy distrust for government and mainstream media. The Ryan Samuels Show is a raw, unfiltered look at American politics. Follow on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and all podcast platforms. Here is your host, Ryan Samuels.
Hey, Ryan. Hi, this is Sarah Palin.
Ryan Donald Trump Jr. Harsh to win, see you. Hey, everybody, I want y'all to check out
Good evening, America. Tonight on the Ryan Samuels Show, toxic feminism didn't just change the rules, it changed the country, and not for the better. Let's start with the lie that they sold us. The home was a prison. Raising children was unfulfilling, second-class work. Real liberation meant a career, independence from a husband, and the state or daycare standing in for the mother. Betty Friedman and the second wave crowd told American women that traditional family was the problem. We bought it. We rewrote the laws, the culture, the incentives. Now, look around. In 1948, about 33% of women were in the labor force. By 1970, it was 43%. It peaked to 60% around 1999. That's not a choice. That's a massive shift in how we raise the next generation. In 1970, roughly 40% of children lived in two-parent homes with a stay-at-home mother. Today, dual-family, full-time career-earning couples with kids are the majority. The old arrangement, dad working, mom at home with young children, is now a minority of two-parent households. At the same time, the American family itself fractured. No-fault divorce, starting in California in 1969 and spreading through the 1970s, made it easier to walk away. Divorce rates more than doubled from the 1960s to their peak around 1980. They've come down since, but marriage itself has declined. Today, far fewer households are married couples. 40% of births are now unmarried women, up from about 5% in 1960. The share of children living with two parents dropped around 85% in the late 1960s to about 70%. A quarter of kids live in single-parent homes, overwhelmingly with their mother. Those numbers have consequences. Children in intact married two-parent homes do better on almost every measure that matters: poverty, school performance, behavioral problems, later life outcomes. Kids in single mother homes are far more likely to live in poverty, have lower test scores, drop out, and get involved in the justice system. Father absence is one of the strongest predictors that we have. This isn't blaming the victim, it's pattern recognition. The research is consistent across decades. Fertility tells the same story. The total fertility rate was over 3.5 in 1960. It is now around 1.6. Well below the replacement and near record lows. Women are having children later or not at all. Almost half of 30-year-old women today are childless. That is not just a delay. And for many, it becomes never. A society that cannot replace itself is not thriving. It's aging, straining Social Security and Medicare and importing its future through immigration. And the women themselves, the quote-unquote happiness paradox, documented by Betsy Stevenson and Justin Wolfers, showed that women's reported well-being declined relative to men's from the 1970s and onward, even as opportunities exploded. More recent data from the Institute for Family Studies and others find that married mothers, especially those who can be at home with their kids, report lower rates of serious depression and psychiatric medication. The "you can have it all" promise produced burnout, delayed families, and a lot of women who say they are less satisfied, not more. Studies on maternal employment itself are mixed. Some meta-analysts find small or on average effects for children's cognitive scores once you control everything. Others show downsides. That is the topic for tonight. Do not forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. You can call into the show 561-786-2916. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back. So what we are seeing now with the decline of the two-family household, the decline of the nuclear family house has been by design in this country, by a collaborative team of the United States government and big business. The reason why is during World War II, the factories in this country exploded. Everybody was on the war effort. Everybody. Your local tire shop was collecting tires and donating it to the war effort or selling it to the war effort. Ford shut down their factories and started building tanks instead of cars. They invented the Jeep, or the GP, the general purpose vehicle for the United States military. But the men were at war. So in these factories across the United States, these factories that are producing millions of rounds of ammunition, firearms, machine guns, planes, cars, trucks, Jeeps, helmets, uniform pants, were being done by women. Because the men were gone and it was out of necessity. Had World War II not have happened, we would have seen this decline a lot slower. But the men went off to war, the women went to work, and this was part of the beginning of the end, because women now knew what it was like to work. The government now knew what it was like to tax double the people, double the income, and companies knew you could get more people, produce more labor, and have more of a pool of employees. That was the beginning of the end. And now today you have a feminist system that is hell-bent, that believes that there are certain women, or any woman cannot do anything wrong, that they are somehow this protected class of citizens that does no wrong, can do whatever they want, and will find a reason to blame a man for the crime that they committed or the atrocity that they committed. This is what we're seeing in the Lindsay Clancy case. This is a woman who suffered serious postpartum psychosis, serious mental health issues, medicated seriously, showed clear signs of mental health issues, strangled her 3 children after she sent her husband to the grocery store, and then attempted to jump out the window, did not die, but paralyzed herself. Has apparently confessed to the crime, has apparently admitted she committed the crime, and is now establishing not a defense of, I didn't do this, I'm innocent, my husband did it, but she's establishing a defense of, hey, I did do this, but I did it because I'm crazy. Nevertheless, every blue-haired, purple-haired liberal woman across the United States with a nose ring is jumping on TikTok, screaming into the microphone about how she's innocent, she was subject to a master manipulator, and an abuser, and she's completely innocent. This woman has admitted to strangling her very young children. I think 8 months or 18 months, 3 years and 5 years old. After she sent her husband to go get food. Premeditated, then knew what she did and tried to jump out the window and kill herself. She didn't shoot them. It wasn't over in a second. She strangled them, not with cord, not with wire, not with something sturdy that would do it, but with exercise bands. Something that would take an extreme amount of effort to really get tight and cut off the air. Because if you just wrap it around and do this, it's not going to cut off any air. 3 times, not to one kid, 3 times. There is overwhelming evidence to support that she did it, including her own admission. But we can't have that in America. The feminists cannot have that. Because it goes against their narrative. And this is precisely what you get when you destroy a societal structure, when you destroy the family. Here is one of those TikToks. Says, some days as a mom, my patience is hard to control. So she turns on the camera and she's walking around the bathroom, showing her frustration. But her frustration was fine enough to get in there. She was calm enough to set up the camera. And then let's put on this narcissistic theater. That's what this is. This is narcissistic theater. Look at me. I'm a victim because I'm a mom. First of all, nobody's a victim because they're a mom. If you feel that way, you should not be a mother. Let's just watch this performance.
Oh,
and they're throwing ice into their bathtub now. This is the new thing. They're throwing ice into their bathtub to get out their frustration. It allows me to feel angry without being destructive. Get the fuck out of here, dude. You calmly went, got a bowl of ice, set up your camera, and throwing it at the bathtub. Now, I don't watch these videos before we do this because I want you to have a genuine reaction. I don't think it was her, but earlier Matt from the Don't Unfriend Me show posted a video of a woman throwing ice in the bathtub. I'm not sure if it was her, but he had definitely posted that earlier where I watched it. I think I watched it on TikTok. If you don't follow that show, you should follow it. It's awesome. Yeah, just look at this. I'll show you. I will break nothing. Oh, and then we have, what is this, a big sheet of ice. So satisfying. The aftermath. Look at this. Just ice cubes in a bathtub. Here's another one. Safely expressing rage.
I'm so effing sick.
This is what they're doing. They're taking to their bathtubs to complain about being mothers. While screaming. And look, first of all, she's here safely expressing rage. This is a new one for those of you listening on the podcast. Safely expressing rage. She is delighted to do this. Let me set up this camera. Let me see how many clicks I can get with this.
Hey, you want to see what it's like to rage?
No.
I'm so effing sick of people taking advantage of me and manipulating me and making me feel not seen when I am very freaking loud. I deserve to be freaking heard. So fucking tired of stupid ass people. People who don't deserve me. People who don't fucking see me for everything I am. So tired. Fucking tired. I'm so fucking tired. So tired. I'm so fucking tired. Stupid.
I can't even look away.
Don't deserve me.
This is clearly an apartment.
Freaking tired of it.
Oh, show the aftermath.
And that's how I rage.
And that's how I rage. That's how I rage. That is the rage. I am raging against the machine. Have any of you ladies ever thrown ice in a bathtub to rage against the patriarchy? Have you? But this woman has been... She's been charged with murder. She's now paralyzed because she tried to kill herself by jumping out a window and failed at that, but succeeded in killing her children. Now her husband is just left alive to deal with all of this. And here she is. Look at her eyes. And now she's being wheeled into a courtroom. Just whole, empty, black eyes. God knows what medications they have her on. Apparently, she was under a lot of medications when this incident occurred. Those murder-suicide pills that you should be really cautious about taking and get multiple opinions before that you do. And when I say murder-suicide pills, I say antidepressants. You should really, really consult multiple doctors before you did that. But here's another lady. I guess she's a lady. Talking about the case. Let's see what she had to say.
Myself, and yes, I'm a lady before the men start saying, yes, sir. I'm so used to that fucking bullshit. Men are fucking trash.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Men are trash. Destroy the patriarchy. Men are garbage. Forget that men have fought more wars than women ever will. Forget the fact that men have built everything in society and fix everything when it gets broken, including your electric, air conditioning, power, plumbing, sewage, you name it, for all of human history. Who can get conscripted if, say, we go to war to China, and you get conscripted and they make you go fight in war. Women can't do that. Women can't be drafted. Now, I'm not bashing women. I'm just saying men deserve some respect. And women deserve a lot of respect too. But to say men are trash when you look like this, like, what do you think? I'm just going to go ahead and say that maybe you're not attracted to men. Maybe there's something going on in your life, in your soul, and you need to pray. Maybe it's that.
Men are fucking trash. Anyway, my point is, how many other New England girlies would like to take the day off from work and drive up to the courthouse to show our support and advocacy for Lindsay Clancy?
Show your support and advocacy for the woman who murdered her 3 children. But then again, these people, yes, these people have zero morality. They don't think that there's a difference between aborting a baby at 6 weeks and aborting a baby the day of its delivery. So if your moral decay is that skewed, how could you possibly have any morality for an 8-month-old baby or a 3-year-old boy or a 5-year-old girl? How could you possibly have that? You don't, because you don't value life. because you've been taught that it's expendable. That children in the womb are not actually children. That up until 2, they don't even have consciousness yet. So therefore, they can't think for themselves. So therefore, they're not a life. It's an actual argument that has been made. That let's go support this poor victim. She has to be a victim. She's a woman. There's no possible reason that she's guilty.
We ride at dawn. Seriously, like, let me know if you're down for that.
I have decided I'm going to send Lindsay Clancy a letter of encouragement. Of course, I'm not going to mention anything about like the case or anything like that, but I did want to write to her and tell her that there are so many women that are out here praying for her. I think some words of encouragement might bring a smile to her. I don't know if she's able to receive any mail or not, but at least I want to try.
Do you guys think
Dude, look at these people.
that Lindsay Clancy is gonna like know about us?
Biggest concern in the world is, will Lindsay know that I exist? Because this is all about me. Not about these poor children. Not about this woman who's obviously mentally disturbed. We're going to get to the trial part of that in a little bit. Don't go anywhere. Make sure you hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Before you go any further, call into the show, 561-786-2916 on the screen. Would love to hear your opinion on this. But it's all about you. Because you have some sort of psychological disorder.
Like that we're all here, like standing behind her. Like, is she gonna ever find out about us? Like her little army? Like, do you think we'll ever become her friends? Like,
did you hear the cat meow? You can put that in a comedy script. Meow. Guaranteed she's single with like 10 cats. And it's all about me. Do you think Lindsay will know about me, that I supported her on my TikTok page? Like, oh my God, like you're a victim. You murdered your children. We understand why. Again with the cat.
Like, will she talk to
Dude, I can't with the cat. It's like this. Is this a skit? Is this a Key and Peele skit?
us? Is she gonna thank us? Like, I don't think she'll ever know, like, what happened and how, like, we rallied. She has, like, this is more supportive than I've ever had any friends be in my life. Sorry, guys. But, yeah.
I'm going to take it you only have a couple friends there, Princess. And one of them is a cat. One of them is a cat. But people are, despite the evidence, right? Despite that she's not even fighting that she did it. She's just fighting whether or not she was crazy at the time that she did it. There is some serious mental health history here. Here is the doctor testifying on the stand. Now, this trial is going on right now, all week. The question is, was she crazy at the time of killing to where she didn't know it was wrong? If you try to kill yourself afterward, or you try to run when the police show up, that means that you did something wrong. So sometimes those can be red flags. But here is the doctor on the witness stand being cross-examined.
But in that subsequent conversation that you were a witness to, where they were speaking on the phone and she told them about these voices or explained about the voices, did she ask about the kids?
She did not, as I recall.
Now, in all of the times over the course of the last few years that you've met with Miss Clancy, how many times has she told you since the incident that she's heard a voice? Currently.
She has not heard voices since the event took place in 2023.
And you've now testified that over the course of a period of time that she did hear voices, right?
Yes.
And is that based on one of these 35 hours worth of conversations you had with her? How do you know that?
Well, they were collateral contacts. I spoke to other people.
So this is the doctor testifying that at the time of the murder, she heard voices, right? She's got a serious history of mental illness.
Who I asked the nature of their interactions with Ms. Clancy, and it was not a fishing expedition. I asked them if they can tell me what happened.
Well, I'm asking
but they disclosed, pardon me?
You have to let them finish.
So they disclosed information to me that Ms. Clancy shared that information with them.
So who did she tell that she had a voice that told her to kill herself?
She spoke to a chaplain named Sheila Kavanaugh, who I spoke with, and Chaplain Kavanaugh told me that Ms. Clancy told her that she heard a male voice instructing her to first kill her children and then to kill herself.
So the same message that she delivered to Patrick that day on the phone, you heard from a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital after the incident occurred in January of 2023?
Yes.
And so from all of the records that you reviewed of her treatment and all of the interviews with her family, who did she tell that she heard voices telling her to kill herself?
I believe she told family members.
Which family members?
I believe she may have said that to her mother.
Again, arguing crazy, not innocent, crazy. If she was innocent and they were blaming the husband, that would be the argument. Let's hear what she has to say, this one.
The trend of these women supporting Lindsay Clancy and raising a ton of money for her and upholding some
$858,000 raised for her.
Some sort of conspiracy theory about her innocence is indicative of two things. Number one, the absolute brain rot that progressive women have experienced from TikTok and reading just like smut all day and true crime. Like they have no actual intellectualism going on. But more importantly, number two, the hypocrisy and clarity of the fact that they don't actually want egalitarianism. No. They want to continually special plead for women, paint women as the victims, and let them off the hook for everything.
Love this chick. 100% accurate.
They would never treat a man the way they are treating Lindsay Clancy. You can say that any crime has a reason behind it, right? We can say that people who are awful serial killers probably have some sort of childhood trauma or have gone through some sort of, mental disorder, psychopathy, something like that. A man who comes home from a war and suffers from PTSD may act out violently, but if he did what Lindsay Clancy did, you would not be acting this way. You can scream all day about postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis, but attributing to why someone does something does not take away the accountability that they should be holding. And this is just indicative of feminism in general. They want privilege without accountability, and that apparently applies to crime as well.
Yeah, they don't care. Here is a license. This is my favorite. Because if there's one profession in the world that is full of crap, it is therapists, right? The majority of them are useless human beings. The majority of their processes are absolutely useless. The majority of them are women who just want to validate how you feel and then sit there and agree with you and charge you $100 for an hour. They're not doctors. They don't have medical degrees. A psychiatrist does. But a psychologist, or now the new thing is, you don't even need to be a psychologist. You could just be a social worker. and have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, now all of a sudden you're qualified to treat children with serious mental health issues or adults with serious mental health issues, when in fact you're a useless member of society and you contribute nothing to anything, and all you do is validate feelings. Now, is there serious people in that industry with PhDs who actually know how to treat, who actually have the clinical hours to do so, and aren't sitting there scrolling their TikTok supporting Lindsay Clancy? Yes, there are. And if you're going to therapy, these are the people you should be seeing. It's actual clinical therapists, PhDs. PhDs. But here is a therapist. Here she is. Her name is Strong Therapy Jess. And she has 600,000 people listening to her spew her nonsense.
The Lindsay Clancy trial is going to be one of the most significant trials of your lifetime. We're all experiencing something completely unprecedented. Never before have we seen so many mothers and women rally behind somebody who confessed to killing her 3 children.
Yeah. That's what you call a problem. But I'm willing to bet she's going to somehow turn this around. Let's hear.
And it is not because we cannot hold women accountable. Many of us see ourselves in Lindsay.
Right. Because all of you that support her are just as friggin' crazy as she is. That's why you see, because there's a connection.
Of us know that we could have been only one step away from doing some of those horrific things, because we experienced significant mental health issues after one of our children was born.
Therapist. Here is a therapist. This is what I mean when I say that they are useless. They are useless. Saying that she herself was close to murdering her children. She was one step away. With her mental health was so bad, she was going to murder her children. And she's treating patients.
And many of us know just how dark some of those thoughts get. So yeah, this is going to be one of the most significant trials of your lifetime.
How dark those thoughts get. So you have thought about killing your children, right? That's what you've thought about. Good evening to you too. Yes, you might, lady, but not me. No, I agree with you. Yeah, I don't think normal, rational people would do that. But there's the problem, right? And these are the people who go to therapy, or the people who are nuts, because they're on some journey to try to figure out what is wrong with them, or maybe what's wrong with a loved one that they had, because a lot of them, ironically, didn't have a dad. They didn't have a masculine figure in their house that they can lean on. That's where 90% of drug issues, alcohol issues, crime issues is from fatherless homes. It's just a statistic, man. Don't blame me. I didn't write it. That was probably one of the most shocking videos I've ever played. I'm telling you, I don't listen to them. Sometimes I do listen to like the first 5 seconds or something to make sure there's no music that comes on that's going to get me a copyright. Sometimes, but a lot of times I don't. But a therapist said, wow, we can all relate to you because we were one step away from killing our own children. And has 600,000 followers.
Has anyone else noticed how men seem very quiet about the Lindsay Clancy trial?
No. No, we're actually all out here talking about how dumb and retarded all of you are. Yeah, there's lists of us. I'm one of them. We're all laughing at you and publicly criticizing you.
Why is that? Why are men not standing up for her when the evidence is showing more and more that Patrick did it? I feel
Patrick had to have done it. She couldn't have admitted to it on her own. She couldn't have told therapists for years that voices in her head told her to strangle her children and kill herself. Couldn't have been. Couldn't have been. And these are the type of scenarios that get into family court and then the court gives them to the mother. They give them to the crazy one, not the normal one. That's a topic for another day. We're going to be diving into family court pretty soon, gearing up something very strong I'm going to drop in the next probably 3 to 6 months. But the automatic assumption is this woman couldn't have done it. Her husband did it and he manipulated her.
like there's like bro code that you don't speak out against abusive behavior.
What about girl code where you protect abusers simply because they're girls? What about that? That doesn't exist. That's not what we're seeing. So in psychology, they call that projecting, where what you're doing, you're putting on somebody else. You're gaslighting. Your every accusation is an admission.
Like it's seen as weak. I think that's why all of the women watching this case love Kevin Reddington, Lindsay's lawyer, so much, is because it's so rare to see a man stand up so passionately against injustice towards women.
He's her lawyer. He knows she's guilty. If she's guilty, he knows she's guilty. If she has admitted it to him, if they have conversations, his job is to get her off, whether she is guilty or whether she is innocent. He does not care. That is what he's getting paid to do.
And against abuse towards women. Why are men being so silent? And at this point, if you're a man saying, like, she should just go to prison, she did it, Patrick's innocent, leave him alone, he was a great dad, with all of the evidence that's coming out, if you are saying that about Patrick still, I'm just going to assume that you are abusive.
This is what you're seeing because I am so glad they're putting this out there. I am so glad you're putting this out there because I'll tell you a couple stories, right? I was exposed to this type of woman early in life where everything is abuse. Everything is abuse. You disagree with them, it's abuse, right? If you don't think somebody else is an abuser, then you're an abuser yourself. I was exposed to this very early in life. And I have a keen eye for it because I've been exposed to it on multiple levels. So when I became a police officer, I spotted this like immediately. I was notorious for it. They would bring me into domestics all of the time because I get to the bottom of it like this, right? These type of women think everything is abuse. I had a lady one time where she came in. I came onto the scene a little bit later. I had another officer there. The husband's in handcuffs. He's sitting down. She's standing there crying. I'm like, what's going on, guys? It's like, oh, well, he pushed her. Okay, yeah, sure. It's domestic battery. Friggin' lock him up. Yeah, can I just talk to her real quick? Yeah, sure, talk to her. Okay. What's going on, ma'am? You okay? You need an ambulance? No, I don't need that. Okay. So what happened? Oh, well, we were having an argument and he tried to leave. I'm like, oh, he tried to leave? She's like, yeah, but I hid his keys. Oh, you hid his keys on him. Well, why did you hide his keys? Well, because he wasn't driving anywhere. Okay. All right. So then what happened? Well, then he was trying to leave and I I wouldn't let him leave. What? You wouldn't let him leave? No. Okay. Well, how did you stop him from leaving? You just hit his keys and then he just didn't leave? Well, no, I blocked the door. Oh, you blocked the door. Oh, okay. And now we're getting somewhere. You blocked the door. Okay, so what did he do when you blocked the door? He tried to go around me. And what happened when he tried to go around you? Well, I stopped him. I pushed him back. I said, oh, so you pushed him. Well, at what point did you push him? Did he push you? Oh, he pushed me after I pushed him. Awesome. Turn around, put your hands behind your back. You're going to jail. You stand up, take his handcuffs off. You do not get to push people and expect not to be pushed back. Man, woman, child, I don't care. You do not get to assault and batter other people, regardless of your race, religion, gender, sex, or creed, or age. Right? Obviously, if there's an age gap and an 8-year-old pushes a 30-year-old, the 30-year-old doesn't now have carte blanche to knock him in his head. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying there are consequences to you touching other people. You don't get to do that. So these type of women think they can do anything that they want. And then when something happens to them, he's abusive. Oh, he hit me. Oh, he pushed me. Oh, he bruised me. All of the time. That's a sincere reality of this world. And the officers I worked with, some of them just couldn't understand it. Even when it was exposed, they couldn't understand. Well, he pushed the woman. Doesn't matter. They're equal. He's a free member of society. She's a free member of society. It doesn't matter that she's a woman. That's not how it works. If it was another man, would it be okay? Yes. Well, not in the eyes of the law. Equal rights are equal rights. They couldn't understand it. And the reason they couldn't understand it is because they grew up in a happy, loving, caring household where their mother was awesome and great and spectacular and would never lie about abuse or accuse her husband of abuse or fabricate stories for political attention. That's usually who goes to police departments, is people who have very strong and genuinely good childhoods, come from very good homes, who get good educations, who have a stern principle about right and wrong and just and follow the law. Half of them never smoked weed. 90% of them probably never smoked weed in their entire life or stole a candy bar from a convenience store when they were 7. So they're like good. They've never been exposed to any of it. So then they get into uniform and you put them out there and they're like, oh my God, this guy hit a woman? Put him in prison for the rest of his life. Put him under the jail. Because they've just never been exposed to the lying and manipulation and psychotic other side of femininity that is out there, that has grown tremendously in our society. Let's hear what else this clown has to say.
I'm just going to assume that you are a piece of shit husband too.
Oh, yeah.
And that you condone and support and enable abusive behavior, because it's so obvious if you were watching the case that he at the very least was abusive to her and neglectful. Like, where are all the good men? All of my trauma has come from.
The good men are married to awesome women. Awesome women who don't think that they're abusive. I'm sure you've had a lot of great men that were your boyfriends. And then you were dramatic and you were traumatic. And then you thought that they were abusive and accused them of being abusive, or accused somebody, one of their friends, of being abusive or misogynistic. And they're like, dude, this chick's a psycho. I'm friggin' out of here. I'm sure there's been a lot of opportunity for good men who are now with better women.
All of my trauma has come from men. I have spent so much of my life healing from men. I've always needed a dad.
Bingo! Bingo. And your dad probably wasn't around because of your mom. That's the reality of it. In 90% of these cases.
A husband. I'm just waiting for some man out there to prove to me that there's some good ones. And
prove to you?
I think that's why so many women are idolizing Kevin Reddington so much, is because so many of us have needed a man to stand up for us and protect us and
I thought you didn't need no
be a
man.
father figure or a good husband.
Girls with good dads who grow up that way don't need father figures. They already have one.
And so many men have just given us trauma and failed us. And men are quiet. Why are all the men quiet? Why can't men passionately speak up against abusive behavior?
They do when it's actually abusive.
Towards women. I feel like in a man's world, if you do that, you're like risking being seen as weak. And I think that's so wrong.
No. Actually, one of the biggest strengths of masculinity is defending femininity. That's one of its biggest strengths. Michelle said, yeah, I had a great dad. He was Navy, and his prescription for depression was was to mop the floor. Gotta love those Navy guys. But she said it in the video, and she doesn't know this because society pushes this out, right? Society pushes out this narrative that men are bad, men are toxic, the patriarchy is toxic. Then you have all of these mentally unstable women who don't have fathers because society has pushed them out. And then they go to therapists who validate their feelings. And then the therapists who validate their feelings are there because they themselves have mental health issues, or they don't have a dad or a father figure. And it's just this endless cycle of BS. That's why there's so much crime in the black community. Oh my God, he said it. Yes, it's data, it's statistics. There's another statistic in the black community that correlates with the crime, and that's fatherless homes. So it's not a product of their race or their whatever. It's a product of their environment. That's a topic for another day. But yeah, I said it. It's true. Doesn't mean they're all bad, but it's true. Care less what you think. So this is what you're seeing. A bunch of these women just completely off the rails. Let's listen to this one.
So, no, my wife killed them. This trial is for her. Like, you went hiking in Costa Rica 3 weeks after the murders, and you went with your new wife, the wife that you have now. No, I didn't. She wasn't there. Weird, because she wrote a review on the Costa Rican hiking tour guide and said that we have been going for the past 3 years. The same tour guide that you wrote a review on. So this was done in 2025, and then the murders happened in 2023. So she'd actually been going with you since 2022. No, the story is I moved to Manhattan 4 months after the murder, and then I met her. You were doing a lot of business trips before the murders to Manhattan, so that's weird. Also, you Googled how to commit suicide while Lindsay was actually not in the house, and they proved that. So you were like trying to make it look like a suicide. While you were gone from the house that night, you also had her Apple Watch with you, and you were texting from her. You were caught on store surveillance with her Apple Watch in your hand. And then the text that you were receiving from Lindsay, you were sending it to yourself from the store, communicating as Lindsay while she was suffering at the home. Prove it. You already have. Now Lindsay's a paraplegic and the kids are dead. And you framed her, and you have a new wife who's pregnant, who looks just like her. So this is like Chris Watts. This.
Friggin' Nancy Drew over here. Then why did she admit to it? That's my thing. And listen, false confessions happen all the time. The police departments are actually a lot more regulated when it comes to confessions, because they used to put so much pressure on guys, so much intensity on guys, that they would just admit to doing it just to get them to back off. Like, yeah, dude, I robbed a store. Leave me alone. I've been in this room for 72 hours. I haven't eaten in 3 days. So false confessions happen all the time. You also got people who want to confess to things, but why would she confess to it? I don't doubt if this woman had such serious mental health issues this entire time, that maybe he was seeing another woman. I have no idea. You know, maybe that contributed to her psychosis. Maybe. I don't know. But as far as her actually committing the crimes, that's what we're hearing. Let's listen to this Fox News report.
Let's go now to our Fox News contributor, Joshua Ritter, and correspondent Shanley Painter outside the courthouse there. Both are attorneys who have been closely watching this case. It is just devastating, every account that we have heard so far. And Josh, it appears as this goes on that there were so many red flags, that this mother was suffering deeply, and nobody was catching it.
No, she was being tortured and she was desperately seeking help. We've heard now about weeks and months that she was going to different therapists, being prescribed different medications. Some of those medications were having adverse reactions.
Yeah, murder-suicide pills. That's what they give you. They give you murder-suicide pills. SSRIs are serious stuff. I would never take them.
Some of the medications were having adverse reactions with each other. She was seeking help anywhere she could get it. And we're talking about serious help. We're talking about a person who's talking about self-harm, a person who's having intrusive thoughts. She was desperate. And I think what's coming across, too, is very earnest.
Look at all of the stuff they had her on. Sertraline, lorazepam, hydroxyzine, buspirone, trazodone, fluoxetine. This is nuts. Serious mental health issues. And then the problem is once you're on them, you can't get off of them. It's so hard to get off of.
In her seeking help, which is against what the prosecution has been arguing in this case, that much of this may have been fabricated or made up. I don't think any of that has been proven. I think it's abundantly clear that this was a woman who was desperately in need of help, and the defense is trying to make the case that because of that and because of the failures of the mental health care system, she was put on this collision course with disaster.
I mean, you know, a very, very powerful witness for the defense was Dr. Paul Zeisel, psychologist, who apparently saw Lindsay dozens of times. Here's what he said in the stand. Listen here.
My opinion is that she did have indeed a mental disease or a defect. She had bipolar disorder with postpartum psychoses. In addition, she was unable to conform her behaviors to the rule of law, and she had no appreciation for the wrongfulness of her act.
Chandler, how is that going to play against the prosecution's contention that she knew exactly what she was doing and did it with intent?
Yeah. Dr. Zeisel's the most important witness for the defense so far because, as you just heard, he reached the ultimate conclusion that this jury will have to make during deliberations at the end of this trial, which was whether Lindsay Clancy could conform her behavior to the standards of the law and whether she appreciated the wrongfulness of her actions at the time she committed the 3 murders of her 3 children. And he spent over 60 visits with her after the murders. He evaluated her. He reviewed all of the documentations. He interviewed her. He was the witness yesterday who told this jury that she called her husband at the time and said there was a male voice who told me this was my last chance to kill the kids and to kill myself. And she acted on that. He explained all that to the jury. I was inside the courtroom, guys, and this jury is so attentive. They took a plethora of notes during Dr. Zeisel's testimony. Really, he was like teaching a class on what postpartum psychosis is, and they were taking note of that. And I believe that his testimony will weigh heavy during deliberations.
It's an extremely high bar to cross. Extremely high bar to hit is mental illness or crazy, because you have to be crazy at the time. You have to know that you cannot know the difference between right or wrong. It's a very high bar to hit because they don't want anybody using it any time that they can. It's the hardest defenses that there is, and defense attorneys typically would rather argue that they're innocent than even go anywhere near a defense claim, even when they're clearly crazy. Clearly. Here's a wife. This is just a TikTok. This is just a lady telling people the case. Let's just listen.
He goes downstairs and he finds her like this, right? And she's paralyzed. But her entire throat is totally crushed. So she's like this, right? And he goes, "What did you do?" And she said, "I tried to kill myself." Her body temperature is 82 degrees. There's actual medical facts of people that have been in water 30 degrees for like 6 hours and their body temperature is like 86.
Who took a temperature of her body? The husband took a temperature of her body when she was on the floor?
So how did her body temperature, first of all, you're dead. Well, in Grey's Anatomy, they said, you're not dead until you're warm and dead because they can warm you up and they can also cool you down. So her throat is totally crushed and she goes, "I tried to kill myself." He goes, "Where's the kid?" She said, "In the basement." So he gets his phone. So then.
It's just, it's a bunch of chicks playing the gossip game. I mean, that's all it is. That's okay. All right, let's see this one. This should be a good one.
Hypothetical scenario. A man is abusing his 5-year-old daughter. He is part of a pedophile ring.
Oh.
Other members of this ring include his best friend, the ADA, chief of police, possibly some doctors, nurses. And now let's say that the mother finds out. Let's say she takes her daughter to the doctor to get some digestion issues looked at. UTIs, things like that. Let's say that doctor suggests to the mother that this child has been abused and she has been abused recently. So, of course, the mother goes home and confronts this monster of a man. What do you think he would do in that instance? Do you think he might snap, strangle his wife? Did the thing with, the other three, because why not at this point, right? Would he then enlist the help of that ADA, that chief of police, those doctors and nurses that are in that ring to help him cover it up?
So everybody that's involved is a pedophile ring. The pedophile ring is like just this crazy conspiracy theory. Like, that's everywhere. Everywhere. Oh, man. Let's listen to this one. This one's only 15 seconds long. Let's see. This is just a chick crying.
A big thing is I feel disconnected with myself. Time, reality. I think going back to work will help with that. She wrote that, right?
I think going back to work will help that, yeah. Women are happier at home with their kids when they're not pumped full of SSRIs. Feminism is toxic and it's poisonous. That's what I say. This guy disagrees with me, though.
What trad people don't seem to understand is
trad, for you normal people out there, are traditional family members. Traditional people who believe in the nuclear family, that the wife stays home with the kids. Sometimes that's not financially feasible. It's completely understood, right? But sometimes it costs just as much money to put them in daycare as it does to stay home, so they stay home. So this is the Gen Z term for normal people. Trad.
What trad people don't seem to understand is feminism exists today because men misbehave.
Incorrect. It exists today because the government figured out it wanted to tax double the population, and corporations wanted double the workers to get things done more efficiently, and they wanted the market to be filled with double the money and double the buyers and double the gold and double the investments. It's just the reality.
Women were at the house cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids, while men were having kids with mistresses, cheating, living this double life. It got to a point where women were like, wait, so I'm just the maid and nanny? You're out here banging all these hoes, doing all this stuff on me, running game, and I can't go work, I can't support myself, I'm so busy at the house that I can't even get out of this relationship.
One thing is for sure is that this gentleman is not banging any hoes. I would venture to say he has never banged a hoe in his entire, 19-year existence. And, anytime you approach a feminist with something logical, just a question, they can't answer it.
Can you name any rights men have today that women don't?
Any rights that men have that women do not? Any rights that men have that women do not? No.
So then what laws are feminists fighting for?
Shit, that's a good one.
It's just, I love how a simple question is like this light bulb because of their echo chamber. Here's another one, right? This one I find particularly interesting. Just two chicks answering questions on the street. Here's what they had to say.
There's so much talk about a woman's body, her choice, and like that. My question is, if we give a woman the right to opt out of motherhood, should we also give a man the right to opt out of fatherhood and 18 years of child support?
I agree. You don't agree?
No, I don't know.
But if a mom walks into an abortion clinic and says, you know what, I'm not feeling this, and gets an abortion, the dad has no say, how come this mom can't, let's just say it's a one-night stand, just hypothetical, and the mom comes back to the dad and is like, hey, I'm pregnant. Why can't he opt out if she was able to say, hey, I don't want this baby? It's a double standard.
Well, he could obviously sign his rights away, but he cannot physically make
He can't sign his rights away because he has to pay child support. I mean, he is legally bound by child support.
honest, that's just the way it is.
I know, but do you think it's right?
You can't tell a woman to have an abortion. Like, that's it.
I know, but do you think it's right that a mom can say, I don't want this baby, but a dad never can?
It's just as much the dad's kid as it is the mom's. Why should a mom be able to decide whether or not their child lives? Why should either one of them be able to decide that there's any other option other than life?
I mean, I just think that's just the way it is.
But do you think it's right?
Yes or no? Gun to your head.
There's so much talk about
It's a valid point. If a woman can decide that the child is no longer hers and just opt out of it, but this is the accountability issue. This is what happens when they're not forced to have any accountability for their actions. Michelle says she's never worked outside of the home and loved it. I wanted to spend the days with my kids. Yeah, it's awesome. There's this dad on TikTok, and he's a stay-at-home dad, and he talks about how it's the greatest thing on earth, and he never wants to go back to work ever again. And they all are like, oh my God, it's so hard. And he's like, nah, it's really not that hard. It's hilarious. He's like half trolling, but half serious. I think he's like stay-at-home dad. You should watch it. It's great. It's awesome. But this is where we are. This is where feminism has taken us. But we're seeing a sect of the population revert back to where it was. Life was better in the 40s and 50s. Life was better. It was not worse. We had booming economies. We had great children. Children are now being raised by government officials. Tell me that's a great idea. If you want something screwed up, let the government do it. So now what we're doing is we're both going to work so that we can send our children to a government school who are taught government lessons and government programs about how bad it is for women to be at home, who are filled with feminist teachers, filling your children with propaganda. No, it's a terrible idea. It's awful. One would even say it was just absolutely horrible. Like one of the worst ideas in society for thousands and thousands of years, since the beginning of mankind, since Adam and Eve, or since the friggin' cavemen, whatever you believe. That's how it was, right? It's human nature. It's not abusive for a woman to be a woman. It's not abusive for a man to be a man. That's how nature is. That's how we have been created. And to try to justify this woman for what she admitted that she did, simply to portray, keep this fantasy in your mind and keep the fantasy in reality that anybody who disagrees with you is abusive. Anybody who yells at you is abusive. Anybody who told you, like, dude, you're nuts, get out of here, they're abusive. Because verbal abuse matters. It's not just physical abuse. Sometimes it's their words, and their words hurt, and here they're verbally abusive to me. Heard that one too. But thank you so much for tuning in. That is the show for tonight. Make sure you go to RyanFSamuels.com, go to the news section, subscribe, and we are live Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. working on a new series. Going to be about family court. Been in touch with some wonderful activists, and I will tell you the amount of atrocities that go on in family court will blow your mind. It will blow specific judges, specific cases. We're going to get into it. I promise. It's just taking time. There's a lot of legal jumps I got to go through to get these cases out on the air, but they're horrible atrocities. Worse than Nazi Germany. Stuff that's going on. But thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. See you tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night.
Thanks for tuning in to The Ryan Samuels Show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.